Let's look at what we'll be doing today. So first I'm going to explain what we're building, what the end result is. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about what typesense is and a little bit what Astro is. Then we'll start by setting up the typesense cloud, creating a scheme in typesense, creating a searchable index in Astro, and how we can populate the search database in typesense. And we'll create a search interface in Astro, and last but not least, we'll set up a post build command to automatically re-index our search database. These are blog posts. So as you can see, there's 3 blog posts, and there's the search field, and that's basically where the magic comes in. So the search field is powered by typesense, and it allows us to search in all the data we have. And a little bit of background why this is important is because static websites, they, as the word says, are static, so they often don't have a like proper database behind it, or the ability to run a server-side script that could handle search for us. So with typesense, that's like pretty well solved, and we can include that in basically any static site generator to have an easy way of searching through our results. All right, then a little bit about typesense. So it's an open source project, and it's basically the open source answer to like Algolia and whatnot, providing a very powerful, fast search interface. You can either host it yourself, but they do offer a cloud-based solution, which I'll be showing in this article today, just because it's easiest to set up and you know, the easiest to get a feel for how it works. Basically, throughout this series, you'll see kind of what it can do and how it works. Which I find it really powerful because it can search on multiple kind of aspects of everything. So you don't have to type the exact words you're looking for, but it can be like a fuzzy kind of word, or you can make a typo. It doesn't really matter. Then a little bit about Astro. Astro is a static site generator. Quite a big fan. They just won most innovative framework, I think, in the Jammies. So there's like Jamstack awards for static site builders and stuff like that. So pretty exciting. They just beat 11T, which was also one of my favorites. So it's a quite hard thing. But anyway, static site builders are pretty amazing. They're super fast because they just output plain HTML websites. But that brings, like I said, some issues with them, is that they can't really handle server-side scripting unless you use serverless functions, but that's another story. You could have done that, but this is like way easier to do. So. Then we'll be starting by setting up the typesense cloud, and yeah, I think we'll actually just get started with this. So what we'll do is cool. We'll go to cloud.typesense.org, and at the first time it will ask you to log in and link your account. So I just used as a login with GitHub. It's like the easiest thing ever. You just I don't know, you have to authorize it once, I think, if I remember correctly. Really wasn't difficult. And then what we have is like clusters. The clusters are kind of like your data stores, I guess, if I say that correct. I'm just gonna walk through this with you guys. So the cluster is kind of like how much memory must this thing have. As you can see, you can go berserk with these things. For our demo, I just used the little one. I don't need high availability. Like it's fine to have these things. So you can set this up. Yeah, region. I mean, I technically should pick Cape Town. And then we can say which typesense version. I'm just going to use the latest one. And that's about it. So it'll tell us what it's going to cost. And as you can see, we get the first 10 gigs for free and the first 720 hours for free. Yeah, but either that, it's not really expensive, to be honest, for what it does. So, and like I said, you can host it yourself if you want to. Right. So let's just go ahead and then launch this cluster as well. You can always just kill it after a while. So this will take a while, right? So our cluster is being provisioned, says it takes about like 5 minutes. What this does is it will generate an API key for us. So we're going to use that in a second. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create a schema in Typesense. And what that is basically a index of what our search is going to look like, right? So as you can see in this little example, I don't know if you can see this really well, but it says what kind of fields we are using. We can set the default sorting field. We can name this collection. So in our case, it's going to be a post. And it's going to have a title, a description, and a slug, right? Where the title is the title of the post, description makes sense, and slug is the URL. What we'll do now is we're going to go to this step, right? So we want a way to send the schema to Typesense. But before we do that, we need to install some dependencies. So the first is we want to use the .env thing. I hope npm's working since it like crashed yesterday, like it was unavailable. Always nice. So this one will install a dev dependency for .environment files, meaning we can use the .environment. So see npm's up and running. So what we then must do is we must create a .env file, and this file can have this content. So what we have here is some variables that we want to keep a secret, so we don't want to publish this to GitHub or wherever. And what it has is a Typesense host, which we'll get to in a bit once the cloud is finished running. We want to have the port, which is 443 for the cloud. The protocol is HTTPS, the admin key, and the search key. So the admin key we'll use to publish the schema and update our search index. And the search key is basically only used for the search part, so it's kind of more public. You can't do anything else than search with it. And then we want to define a search endpoint, which is going to be our website / search.json. So once you publish this whole thing, you kind of want to set this to the end domain. And this is why we need a search index, but we'll get to that once we create that page. The second package we need is Typesense, which is the Typesense package. It makes sense. It just makes things way more easier to install this, as it has a lot of the admin stuff already built in. We could technically write these queries ourselves, but it's way easier to do it like this. Right, so let's have a look at the cluster. Okay, so it finished. And what I've noticed is this one's completely finished. It's healthy. The first time I did this, it took a while to become healthy. But you need it to be healthy to generate an API key. So that's what we did now. And as you see, it will download like a TXT file. So please tell me you're not going to steal this. I'm just kidding. Which has all our keys in it. So as you can see, it has the API, the admin API key, and it has the search API key. So we'll set those in our environment, and we need to set this domain, right? So as you can see, it's that thing. So that completes all our environment files. We'll get to using them in a second. A little bit about Astro. So Astro kind of uses next routing underwater, or well, not really, but it looks like a next routing. So we can have a folder called pages. Inside we can have index. They have their own extension, which is super powerful, and that will create like our index page. However, for this search index, we want to create a typesense file in our library, I guess. So what I generally do is create like a library folder, and I want to have a typesense JS file. This will kind of handle all our admin stuff, so including setting up typesense. So I'm just going to copy this from my article as it makes a bit more sense. So what we do is we require the .env, which will technically read the env file. Then we load typesense, and we load the notepad. We use the notepad in a second to retrieve our search page. Right, and then we need a function that can automatically invoke, like the immediately invoke function, which looks something like this. So this will run the moment we, let's just try that, just so you guys see what's going on. So if we, so if we're in our project and I say, okay, node, execute for lib typesense, then I missed something. Did I not? Oh, maybe I forgot to install typesense. Did I? No, I did. Okay, let's get to that in a second. I'm pretty sure I forgot something. Maybe it's because it's right. Let's just see what we set up here. No, this definitely should be in. Okay, what did we? Maybe we didn't install npm. That would be a rookie mistake. So in the meantime, okay, maybe I just missed installing npm before. I should see. No. Okay, it definitely is saying. Okay, it needs Babel. Okay, let's just install that. I must have missed that in my version, which I can't remember. Let's just see if that works. Okay, so that's a little bit of a technical thing. Obviously, typesense DAO requires Babel runtime, which I'm not sure if it is because it's the latest version or something, but it doesn't matter. I'll address it in the article as well. So to show you what happens if we execute node and then this file, it'll say here. So that means this function is executed. And why that makes a difference is because this is an async function, because we want to use some awaits in a second. So we want to await some of the calls we're doing to typesense cloud. Let's just keep an eye on this. All right. So the first thing we want to do is create a new typesense client in here. So, right. So what we do here is we call the typesense package and initialize a new client. This client takes some arguments. You can find that in the typesense docs. They're pretty good explained. And what we do is we set the host, port, and protocol with our environment variables. So remember this. This links to whatever we said in the .env file. And we set the API key to the admin key. And then you can set a connection timeout, which I think 2 was the default, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll just leave it at that. So now we have a connection to Typesense Cloud and our cluster that we just created, so this one. So as you can see, this is still empty. It has no collections in it, so we need to create one. We can either do it through here to the interface, also works, but I just like to do it by code. So what we'll do is we'll create a post scheme, which like this defines what we want to have. So we want to have a scheme, a collection called post with the following fields, right? So we also saw that here in our presentation. And this is basically how you create it. You can add some more data if you want it, like which fields should be the main fields and whatnot, but we don't really have a need for that at the moment. Then we can create it, and that's just really as simple as calling the client collections create with this schema. And as you can see, here is where we kind of want to await this. Sorry for the noise. My dog is having a moment. We want to await this, and oh, hey, Jason. Jason joined us from Typesense. Cool to have you aboard. I hope I'm explaining Typesense in the right way. I do think so, but right. So what I was saying. So that should create the collection for us. So if we now execute this command, it will create it. This await is not really needed at this point, but in a second we'll add some more stuff to it, and then you'll see why we need it. So let's just go ahead and execute this. Hope it went all right. And then if we go back here to the cluster, we should see a post collection, right? So this is now created through Node. So we just executed a Node script and that created it for us. So if you look at the schema, it has the fields we described, and it has the name post, which is basically also here the thing.